and we have, you know, a certain amount of weight and so on. It's kind of hard sometimes to wrap your mind around the idea that really we are just beings of pure energy. And some scientists figured out recently that if you could take all the empty space out of everybody's body on Earth, like you could fit all 7.8 billion of us into a little box the size of a sugar cube. So it really is true. Once you understand that, then that's, I think, the beginning of being able to start understanding the rest of it, how it all works. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Darren, we got a call, or we got a question about, is this being recorded?
I'm recording it now. I forgot. And I saw that you did that, and it's being recorded right now.
Okay, great.
Somebody mentioned it's on Facebook. So Facebook, you can play that back.
Oh, you have to actually, whoever's doing it on Facebook has to have it recorded, or it doesn't record even on Facebook. Oh.
Right.
So yeah. I think something I might add, we're so goal-oriented that we aren't here. We're looking out there for all of it. But all the answers, as stated, are here. But the key to me is not even looking within for an answer. Letting the sensations that are present in us, those are the communications that the body offers us. They're not named. The naming is a once remove from what the body offers. The body offers these subtle sensations, like a gentle whisper. And the mind is constantly yelling, saying, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? How can it get feedback if all it's doing is yelling? So, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with these other things? Sure, we have an entry point. But the entry points, the triggers and the feedback from the system, in a sense, are listened to, but not intellectually listened to, but fed back through the body and completing circuits that have been closed. And we've all talked within that. It's difficult to describe, but if you let your body give you the information, and it's really just letting it happen rather than subduing it with our mind's constant pressure, it starts to arise. And it's just there. And it's continuous if we allow it. So the question becomes, is it okay to allow it? And the answer is, it's the birthright of every being on the planet.
Right on.
It's beautiful. And, you know, just to play with that, there's just a basic aspect of the nervous system and how we process. We process through visual, kinesthetic, and auditory pathways, primarily. That aspect of visual, kinesthetic, auditory processing is not only how we heal, but it's how we learn. Our immune system, and there's a question that I want to bridge with this, just talking about whether it be allergies or whether it be vaccination, but there's a question about, you know, what chakra does the immune system live in? But I want to bridge off of what Alain's saying about just being aware and just allowing. You know, when we allow ourselves just to see what comes up, just notice what you see in your mind. Rather than judge it as right or wrong, it might feel right or wrong or look wrong or right, whatever, but it doesn't matter what it is. There's no right or wrong. It's all love being expressed the best way it knows how. Fear, anger, you know, low self-esteem is still love being expressed the best way it knows how. As I'm observing what I'm seeing, as I'm allowing, I just love just the simplicity of it. And I'm just seeing it. And I'm just noticing. If you muscle test, you'll notice it gives way. And you go, infinite love and gratitude. As I'm just seeing it, infinite love and gratitude. I'm using a universal healing frequency. Infinite love and gratitude. Cool. Is there anything else to see? No. I'm feeling the allergy, just as simple as that. I'm noticing, I'm allowing myself to feel it. But without actually even tasting it, my body, just in imagining, and my body starts to react. What do? Infinite love and gratitude. Give love and gratitude. So we have memory that allows us to turn short-term memory into long-term memory. You know, we get caught in the short-term memory of yesterday's, whatever that might be. But that also influences the immunological processes of the body, where we've got white blood cells that are memory cells that are influenced by viruses and poison and infection. So I love that, Alain. I just think that's so cool. And to bridge to another question here by Elizabeth Mullen. Oh, wait. No, there's another question. This is by Marilyn Senamom. Which chakras are related to the immune system? Who wants to take this one?
Well, I think a better question would be which chakras aren't related to the immune system.
Right.
Because
Well, go ahead, Dr. Nelson.
it's all connected. Well, you know, the bottom line is when you think about the immune system, you know, we tend to think of the immune system in medical terms and biological terms and so on, but really, honestly, any imbalance that you have going on in your body is going to lower your immune system's ability to really function well. So if your root chakra is all out of whack, your immune system is going to be affected by that, just like if your crown chakra was out of whack. So you want to make sure that all of your chakras are functioning well and that everything is balanced as well as you can. You know, if you release any little bit of emotional baggage, your immune system will improve a little bit. And that's the same thing if you, you know, if you remove some kind of a pathogen that's in the body, or if you remove some toxicity from the body, or if you correct some misalignments that are going on in your body. All of those things, you know, it all comes together. It all, and by the way, one of the things you can do is you can muscle test your immune system, and you can just simply ask, how well is your immune system functioning? Or, you know, how well is my immune system functioning on a 0 to 100% scale? The subconscious mind, I mean, if you ever saw the movie Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman played an idiot savant, you know, in that movie, and he was really an idiot. But if you gave him, you could give him a number this long, and he could give you the square root just like that. And there are people like that, and it shows that the subconscious has this ability to crunch numbers. So that's one of the things that I learned when I was in practice. I had a patient that I was doing an exam on, and she had chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, and her friends were all telling her, you know, you look fine. I think if you just get a job, you know, or start exercising, you'll feel better. And that's typical for these people because they look normal, but they don't feel well at all. So I was thinking, gee, you know, she looks really fine. She looks normal, right? She looks like she's healthy and everything. But I wish I knew how well her immune system was really working, because if I knew that, that would help me. That would be a really good indicator of how healthy or unhealthy she really is. And so this little voice said, well, why don't you just ask? So I did, and you can do that. And you'll find if you do that, that if you start removing imbalances from your body, that immune system will increase. So that's my short answer, is that they all affect it. Mm-hmm. And so does everything else.
Well said.
Exactly.
One more thing. I always kind of giggle when people want to know about chakras. And I think Einstein talked about the fact that energy medicine is the way of the future. And when you want to just look at your chakra system, it's almost like wanting to fix a car and you're only looking at the driver's seat. Because the truth is we are energetic beings, as Dr. Nelson mentioned earlier, and the science coming out about that. And we actually have these enormous human energy structures. There's a book called Your Sacred Anatomy by a woman named Desda Zuckerman. And Desda's mapped the human energy structure like I've never seen anyone do. And so a lot of your different systems have different, are connected to different parts of this enormous human energy structure that is running a lot of things, and actually most things in our lives. But just like back hundreds of years ago, we didn't have microscopes to actually look to see what was causing, you know, like a bacterial infection. We couldn't see it. So we didn't wash our hands because we couldn't see that the germs were there. And very much it's the same with energy medicine, as that there are people who can see our human energy structures. And more people are developing this as they're healing their emotional memories, as they're healing themselves. and they're able to see, and we're able to harness all of us and treat the entire vehicle, not just the driver's seat. So I would add that as well, as to keep reaching for your research in energy medicine.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Well, we know that all to work on our immune system is to have some positive emotions running through our body at all times. And so all of us have suggested to even to allow those sensations to come up. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? Moving into it. And then offering love, because love does heal all. And that is the goal, to keep going, to keep working. I use in the 2.0, which we talked about maybe doing another screening, and in the 2.0 we talk about the Hawaiian forgiveness prayer of the Ho'oponopono, and it really has changed my life to be able to say, well, whatever I'm faced with, let me offer love and forgiveness and gratitude, and that's going to impact your immune system tremendously. So it's a constant progress, not perfection. And I think I'll use some of Dr. Alain's work of just sitting with it instead of trying to move and do, but really to honor. I think that does, when we honor what we're feeling, then we already increase our immune system.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Yeah, great.
That made a really good point. People always tease me that I'm always learning different things, and I do sound healing now, and everyone always wants to know why I do sound healing. And that's because a lot of times I will get people who aren't ready to dive in and deal with their trauma or to change their diet. And more people are noticing that sound healing is becoming very, very popular. And one of the reasons is, just like Michelle was just talking about, is that we need to find ways to raise our frequency. And you can play a bowl, and I can do one for just a few seconds, and it changes people. Even my big corporate guys, that their wives send them into woo-woo-y me, and they're like, what am I doing here? And I can play a bowl from them, and they're like, that stuff feels good. And you can see them going, but it's a little weird. And I don't really care. I just want their frequency to come up. So like Michelle said, and like everyone is also saying, we also have to have good stuff coming in. It can't just be this negative flow all the time.
Yeah, well said. I love the concept that love is immunity. Love equals immune system. And if you think about a system means that there's multiple things involved. So there's elements, there's cells, there's organs, there's glands that come together from all over the body that make a system. So it's not really one part, but the foundation of it all, no matter what, is, the foundation of energy. And so as we look at the full energy system, and Dr. Brad said, if the root chakra's out, you're going to be influenced. If the second chakra, your immune system's going to be influenced. At the same time, when you look at the heart chakra in its anatomical position in the body, it is the bridge between the three chakras below and the three chakras above. So it is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. It is the medium between physical and spiritual life. Everything's spiritual, but we are human beings, in this world, but we're spiritual first. Where the heart chakra is located is also over an area where there's a very special gland called the thymus gland. And the thymus gland, when we are born, are gargantuan. They're huge, and they're huge because it's what enables the child to have a strong immune system. It produces T cells that, are able to identify different levels of infection or allergy or, toxicity, whatever it might be in the body. I've got this passionate craze of backing things up and really desiring to know them from an emotional point of view. And when I look at the nature of the immune system and I go, what does it do? It tells self from non-self. And when we look at it that way, and then we go from, you know, an emotional or maybe an existential point of view, we go self from non-self, it ultimately gets us to ask the ultimate question as a human being. Who am I? Who am I? Now, what happens in our world is that we are conditioned over and over again to say this, do this, think this, be the doers of the world rather than the beers of the world. You know, that we're often shape-shifting and walking on eggshells, and I'll be this for him and this for her and this for that or whatever it might be, that I ultimately don't know who I am. And then this becomes an energetic expression where I mutate. I emotionally mutate. Now, all emotions are normal. So I emotionally mutate, like, because I can't handle anger. I can't handle fear. I can't handle confrontation. And that is what I term emotional cancer. That we change ourselves so often at the expense of ourselves for the sake of others that we don't remember who we are. Who are we? We are beings of eternal light and love. We are divine expressions that are pure and authentic. And we're here to shine. We're here to be celebrated. And, you know, and so, you know, the ultimate aspect of like going, who am I? And I think it was Alain who said it. Is it okay to be you? You know, is it okay to be you? It's like that, like, that's immunity right there. That's immunity right there. That is such a profound question to ask ourselves. And when I'm like, well, it's not okay for me to be me around him or her or this or that. That's the trigger, you know, infinite love and gratitude or whatever route. Goal, the frequency, you know, drink water, eat lovingly, get good sleep, move your beautiful body, all these cool things.
Well said.
Thank you. There's another question here from Elizabeth Malanlard, who writes, what about hormone balancing and hot flashes?
I don't know, Dr. Nelson or you, but I'll go there. And just so I'm saying, I am not a medical doctor. I am not licensed to give medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. Mm-hmm. A lot of women are required to be super people these days and have it all. And many of them have run their adrenal glands down. And so a lot of times what happens from my educating myself is what I understand is that when you go into menopause, if you have fatigued or exhausted adrenals, they don't kick in like they're supposed to naturally. So that has something to do with it. It's also about emotions and stress but supporting your adrenal glands. So finding a good functional or integrative physician can be very helpful with that and supporting your adrenals as well. And I don't know if Dr. Nelson or Dr. Darren has anything to add to that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many components to it. And because we're talking about emotion, you know, the roller coaster ride of hormones, you know, our body is an expression of our mind. You know, so I teach in the Lifeline certification course, I teach people how to be aware of what is the trigger, who is the trigger, where is the trigger, when is the trigger, what does it take, and now I'm at my boiling point, and now I'm in the reactive state. Combine that to, you know, my blood sugar is out of balance, I'm dehydrated, I'm burning the candle at both ends, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm not going into my deep REM stages. You know, all these things play a role in our lives, and rather than looking at emotion as the silver bullet, it's a foundation. And it creates oftentimes instantaneous, spontaneous, profound changes with people. But it's important that we go back to grassroots and we learn the fundamentals of self-care and healthy habits and, you know, and that value, that esteem that we're worth the effort and the energy to take care of ourselves. And I love that you actually said that, Amy, because, and I can't speak it from a woman's point of view, but you know, I know that my wife, Sarit, is such a powerful goddess warrior we've got 3 kids, 15, 13 and 12. And, it's been a whole different realm on the planet for women versus men. And that is evolving in the way that it's evolving in such a beautiful way. And it's not even close to where it's going to be. We do not even know what it means to be a real man or a real woman on the planet at this point. We don't even know what that really looks like. We're evolving into who we are. We're going to grow. We're in caterpillar phase. We haven't even, we're starting to go into the chrysalis of the point of complete darkness is the beginning of light. We're getting there. This world is full on chrysalis moment right now. It's getting there. But we will come out and we will know what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. And out of that, we will see a whole different level of regulatory processes that we can hormonally, identify, measure, and acknowledge as a reflection of this.
If we think of hormones also as the communicators, because the hormones are the communicators of the body. So if we are or we're not communicating certain things of ours that are our truth, then that is going to cause some imbalances in hormones as well. And so what Dr. Darren is saying and what Dr. Amy and everyone is saying that it's about paying attention. If we secretly suffer for anything, that is going to cause imbalance and trapped emotions. And when we address it, when we look at it, when we feel into it, and we bring it to the surface, breathe into it, love it, honor it, then things can balance out.
Well said.
Yeah. I could listen to you guys all day.
You too. And just like a little personal, such a gratitude for Dr. Nelson's work, because it helped with my grandson had a brain tumor, and we found the story with recall healing, and then used Dr. Bradley's work to find some trapped emotions within. And when I heard my grandson speak, he was different after we released the trapped emotions. And it was so beautiful. And I released my own heart wall and have found the love of my life, and
awesome,
and so loved in all my life. So that's my little personal, this work works when you do it.
That's so great. Well, it's like I said at the beginning, it's like we're all in the same boat. We're just on different oars. And it's so interesting because, we all, depending on what our lives have been like and what our experiences have been, we come up with these different views of it, and they're all right on, really, right? They all work, and they're all but really it's true that I think what Darren, what you said, I think is really true and really profound. And also Michelle, what you were saying about love and Ho'oponopono, and I've been experimenting with that lately. My wife and I, we were in Costco back in March. We had this experience where everybody was kind of in a state of panic. There was no toilet paper, right? And everyone's zipping around faster than they've ever, zoomed on their carts, pushing their grocery store carts. And you can feel this sense of panic and fear that everybody had. And it was really interesting, and it started to affect me because what they're emanating, what they're giving off is that particular vibration, and so I started to pick that up, and then I'm starting to feeling it, and my knuckles are getting wider on my golf cart or my grocery store cart. And then I thought, you know what, I don't want to go there. That's a dark kind of a feeling. I don't like that. So I shifted, and what I started doing is just silently telling people, I love you, and just silently telling them that, right? And Darren, you guys know it doesn't take long when you're doing that. It shifted me just so radically. In about 30 seconds, I was on top of the world and stayed that way the rest of the day. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. I want to share an experience with you guys that I had. This is probably about 3 years ago. My wife and I had a second home, and near our second home was this big park, and in the middle of the park was this huge hill, and on one side of this big hill was this lake. And one day, it was early in the morning, I walk up and I'm on the top of this hill, and I'm just kind of sitting there just thinking about things, and the sun has come up, and all of a sudden I have this experience where I suddenly, and this is going to sound crazy probably, but it was one of those spiritual things. I comprehended like all of the leaves of the trees and all the plants and everything. And what was going on was that everything was in a state of really of praise to the creator. I could feel that. But really that was just love, right? All creation really is in this, I believe, is in this, this state of love, sending love to the creator, right? And I just thought that was so wild. And it's kind of changed how I think about things. And of course, that's where we need to be. And so I think, you know, when you look at Lifeline, for example, and what Dr. Darren is teaching about love and gratitude, well, that's what everything else is doing. We just need to get into that state ourselves. We're also, I think, in that state of broadcasting love to each other, right? Unconditional love. There was a story that, if I can find this, I'll post it here. It was a YouTube video. So it was an emergency room doctor, and he had this experience that changed his life. He talked about how when people flatline in the ER, they really save very few of them. It's not like you see on TV where they save everybody. Most of them don't make it. But he said one day they brought 3 people back who had died and gone to the other side. When they brought them back, they all said the same thing. They said, "Why did you bring me back?" They all said, "For the first time in my whole life, I felt totally accepted." And that changed his whole life. And I've thought about that a lot, and I've thought, well, why? Total acceptance. Well, think about it. Total acceptance is the fruit of unconditional love, right? If you really truly love unconditionally, you accept totally, right? And so I think that's what we're moving towards. It's this love, this energy of love that is going to save us in the end, I think. And that's where we need to go to and where we need to move towards. So I really appreciate all of these, everything that you guys have all shared tonight. It's just been really brilliant and fun to listen to. You're all amazing.
Can I just add one more thing? And it's actually, I think it's even in the trailer for the Emotion 2.0, is because Fraser had me talk about in the process that I do is, you know, once we get inside and we get, you know, the sensation that Alain was talking about, it's an old spiritual process that if you're willing to go into the emotion that's there, and most people are afraid of their emotions, you just have no idea. And it doesn't mean blowing it out, screaming and yelling and kicking, and it doesn't mean repressing it. But if you're willing to burn through the emotion that's there and then ask what's underneath this, and then what's underneath that, and then what's underneath that, and memories will come up. That's how I access them, is because your emotional memory, you know, your biology is your biography, everything's written here, as you all know. But if you keep going down and you keep going down and you're willing to burn through this backlog of emotions, your true nature, your essence, you're connected, loved, one with everything, infinite self. And it's just like in NDEs, in near-death experiences, because when I started doing the inner work where you're taking people inward, you see really weird stuff. Like, and people who've been doing hypnosis will tell you it's the royal road to the unconscious. But what you really see, and what I saw when I started doing it, is I became fascinated with near-death experiences, because I started thinking, this is what they describe in NDEs. Because a lot of times people will get to like a blank place, and then there's light, and they go into the tunnel, and then they start dropping into infinite joy and infinite grace and infinite love, and I am good enough, and this and that. And once you feel that, I have a woman I did a process with, good Lord, it must have been like 2004. And she still will send me a note to this day and say that moment that she met her true nature, it has never left her, and she's never forgotten it. And it's what Dr. Nelson is describing with near-death experiences as well, is that once people get to remember who they are, everything is possible, and their frequency comes up, and then everything starts to come together as well.
It's amazing to be able to find the space between and make that your home, you know, while you're living in your body, to be from that space between. I know that I awoke to the Lifeline technique as a result of being in the space between, that it was just downloaded. I just saw pieces fit together that allow me to sequence the bridge between the conscious and subconscious. And out of that just naturally grows this intuitive sense, this joyful sense, this who we were meant and destined to be. It is. So what a blessing. Somebody asked, and I think it's a perfect closing as well, you know, how, you know, we just had this great experience of watching this beautiful movie and all these great, you know, Q&A. Where can we go from here? Like, how can we learn more about, here, let me read it exactly. After so much wonderful info in the movie, what would be a good first step for someone to begin shifting?
Just say yes. You've already done.
Right.
Every entry point's different for a different person.
Yeah.
You can look at all the different sites that we all have. You find what speaks to you.
Right.
And if it doesn't speak great, well, you can give it a try. If it doesn't speak great, there's other models. And at the basis, realize that everything's about resistance or openness. And the willingness to be open also has the attribute of being willing to feel the resistance. And as you enter into that, life changes. Everybody, what? There are 7+ billion people on the planet, right? Everybody's having their perfect experience. They don't think of it as perfect. They think of it as problematic. But they're living their perfection the way they're demonstrating their life. Now, they say they don't like this style of perfection. The answer is it can change. Everybody's got beautiful techniques. Experiment, unfold. As you unfold, there may be other techniques that speak more. Lovely. There's your next entry point. And my view is we're all infinitely perfect beings pretending to be limited in order to have an amazing experience. Here we are
So
having
true.
that amazing experience. You don't like it? That's okay. As the saying goes, the universe is perfectly willing to listen if you're, you know, to hear you. If you're perfectly willing to listen, it's perfectly willing to teach. It's all interconnected. It doesn't have to be us or them. It can just be. Touch the spot you like and enter the water. It's all good.
Beautifully said, Alan.
I'd actually love to invite everyone. I had when they said that they were going to do this on this day, and I knew that we were going into the solstice and then the eclipse and the new moon, and it's like, oh my gosh. I often will do big sound healings really for myself, and I'm doing one tonight that starts at 6:33. So if you want to get your toes wet with some things, I'm going to be doing it on Facebook Live, hopefully, at 6:33. So you can go to my website and you can click on my Facebook, or I'm just Amelia Hardwick, and it's just my personal page, and I just do this for me and the planet, and anyone who wants to join in can get some good sound healing, because I've got a pretty good setup ready to go after this at 6:33. I love everyone, and there's just gorgeous people on this panel, and any one of their techniques would be, you'd be so blessed to enter through their little healing portal.
I love you. I love everyone here too. And Alain, that's how I went. I started wounded and perceivably in this place where it was what it was. And thank God it was what it was. And I'm just so grateful for the entire journey. So, you know, anything and everything that that I can do, or I know that we can do to be of support, we're here to share anything that we can. I want to just say thank you for this incredible time. Thank you to Michelle and Alan and Amy and Brad. And you know, it really has been incredible. Jonathan, I don't know what happened. I feel so bad, but I guess he wasn't able to get in. Last words before we part our ways.
Thank you.
Joy.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks for putting this together. This was
Yeah.
really fun. We need to do it again.
It was a blast. It was a blast. Infinite love and gratitude, everyone. Have an incredible rest of your day and weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the beautiful men in the world. And, you know, within every beautiful man, there's even a more beautiful woman next to. So keep shining bright. And I'm going to stop the recording and